Hey there, this is Natalie, back with more stories from some of the best subreddits. Please subscribe for more Reddit videos and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. This is a very, very disturbing story with updates. Entitled, "My brother is homicidal. I'm looking for ways to protect my family." It was originally posted by user mommydear in r/momit. And the first post in the thread begins, "Heads up, this is a lengthy read. My brother is homicidal and I'm looking for ways to protect my family. I'm a married mom of 3 kids, 6 years old and younger. My little brother is almost 2 decades younger than me. He has high-functioning autism and developmental delay related to a brain injury when he was born. I helped raise him as much as I could, but our parents are pretty emotionally abusive, so I wasn't there a lot, and we'd grown apart a bit as he became a teen. He's done better than expected in life, graduating high school and attending a semester of college before getting a job cleaning a hospital. I helped him apply for the job, and when he had a mental breakdown, I blamed myself for helping him get the job. He felt suicidal and homicidal for 2 months this summer. He has very few, if any, friends, never had a romantic relationship, and was obsessed with guns for a few years. I told my parents and other siblings he should not have guns when I learned he had had them. His roommate joked he got into guns and would try to get my husband into guns, to which I responded with, "Do not even try, we're not gun people." Anyway, in August, after reading bedtime stories to my kids, I got a text from my brother. He came over. He said he went to the desert to off himself but chickened out. I made him dinner and then took him to a crisis centre. I later learned he had plans to shoot the hospital he was working at, specifically the children's unit. He planned to take hostages. He had plans to end himself when police would get there. He purchased several guns and tactical gear, including an AR weapon and a milk crate full of bullets. He sexually abused a family dog. He had plans to stab my parents and sisters. Police and FBI got involved. He spent 2 months in a mental health hospital. I spoke with him by phone every few days. I believed he could get better with medication and therapy. He was released 2 weeks ago, and he said he felt better than ever and did not have any intrusive thoughts anymore. He got a dating app and was applying for jobs. He moved back in with our parents and was spending quality time with them. On Halloween, my dad called me and said my brother is back in the mental hospital. Apparently 2 weeks ago he lied to the hospital to get discharged. He had active plans of killing my parents. He bought a huge axe, a Halloween mask, and gloves. He covered the axe handle with tape. My parents found this in the car trunk, the car he gave them a ride in. My brother admitted that he planned to off them in their sleep on Halloween night. He planned to off my dad first, then my mom, then he planned to wear the gloves to stay warm in the forest so he could hide. My dad called the FBI agent to come get all the stuff they found in the trunk. They think the tape on the axe handle is to prevent slipping with blood. I'm horrified. My brother called a couple times from the hospital. He says he's ashamed. He admits to all of it. He says they will likely keep him in for a bit, but he's already trying to figure out college and work, a living situation after release. I'm not a gun person. Should I get a gun and a gun safe? Should we get home security? I feel like my brother will try to hurt us, and I want to do my best to protect ourselves. Any advice is appreciated. Well, this is a lot heavier than the other stories I've covered on this channel. But there are full updates, so hopefully there will be some kind of resolution to this situation, because right now this sounds horrifying. There are some relevant comments to this first post and additional information that OP has added. Here OP speaks on the police involvement, and she says, "The police have been involved. For a few weeks I was getting calls from them pretty regularly regarding my brother. They put in a court order for him not to be able to purchase guns, and the FBI agent is also involved. I'm not sure if a restraining order would protect us physically if my brother decided to hurt us. I haven't told my kids to watch out if they see their uncle yet, but I probably should. I'm just not sure how to proceed. You're right that I do feel responsible for him since I helped raise him, but I had some therapy to help. I know my responsibility is to protect my family." And she also replied to comments regarding how her brother managed to get out. She said, "He is currently in the psych hospital on an involuntary hold. He was in one for 2 months and got released 2 weeks ago. He lied to the hospital staff to get released. I hoped meds would cure him, but I think now there is little chance of that. I'm afraid he will lie to get released again. He only knows 2 addresses, my parents' and mine. He knows we don't own weapons." He freely admits this to the therapists, doctors, police, FBI. They know he was not honest when he got released. He almost got out earlier in his 2-month stay by not revealing he wanted to kill the other patients. When he told them, they moved him to another unit. And the top comments from other users include Southern Yam 1811 says, "I'm scared for you and your kids. Intrusive thoughts to kill you and your family is a very real possibility. He will never recover. My number 1 priority would be to relocate where he can't have access to my kids. No social media. Your parents should do the same." False Suspicious says, "If he knows your address and you have children, you need to effing move. I know that may seem impossible, but it is an absolute necessity. He cannot know where you are. He cannot be able to just walk into your house. You need to move and cut off all contact with him. I'm sure this is utterly heartbreaking for you, but from all the details you're providing, it doesn't seem like it's possible for your brother to recover or be rehabilitated. You need to cut all contact for your safety and the safety of your kids. He will eventually kill you if you don't. I worked in a psych unit of a hospital for a long time. I saw many situations where an imbalanced adult child attempted to kill their parents, caretakers, and family. It's incredibly sad, but you cannot help him. You can only help yourself and your family by making sure he's no longer a part of your life. Again, I'm truly sorry that you're going through this. I can't even imagine the heartbreak for your family." And then this is the first update from OP. She says, "I posted about my brother on this subreddit 3 months ago and got great advice. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with it, and it got worse. So, I'm in my late 30s, married, work full-time, and have 3 young kids, 6 and under. My husband is a great father, extremely intelligent, and quite possibly the most stubborn person known to man. My brother is 21, has high-functioning autism, and was working and living independently. My sisters are around his age, but in college. He was working as a custodian at a hospital. We spent weekends together playing Lego, and he lived at our house for a few weeks when he couldn't stay with my parents. In August, he admitted to me that he had thoughts of offing himself. I took him to a crisis centre. I found out from the police the next day that he wanted to shoot up the hospital paediatric unit, take hostages, had plans of death by cop. He was obsessed with guns and amassed weapons, a handgun and an AR rifle, milk crate full of ammo and tactical gear. Police on a local and federal level were involved. He had his guns and ammunition taken from him. He admitted that he essayed the family dog as a teen. He admitted he derived excitement from thinking about offing people. Charges could not be brought because, per police, no crime was committed. He was in a mental hospital until October. He was medicated and told us he didn't have these thoughts anymore. He was released on meds back to my parents' house. Within a few days, he bought a large axe, a Halloween mask and gloves. He put tape on the axe, later admitting this was to prevent slipping with blood splatter. He had plans to kill Mum and Dad in their sleep with an axe on Halloween night. He told his doctor this during his follow-up visit on Halloween, and the doctor called police. My parents found the axe and all his supplies in his car trunk and gave it to the police. He got admitted to the hospital again. So here she's really just recapping the events of the last post, but I'm sure we'll get to the later events very soon. She says the prosecutor, both state and federal, wouldn't charge him. Buying guns, an axe, and having thoughts about hurting people is not a crime, they told us. My dad got a protection order against him. My mum is convinced she can fix him. My sisters are in college and far from his reach. I spoke with him by phone every few days, not revealing details about my life, but hoping that keeping contact could provide some safety for me and my kids. I helped raise him. I changed his diapers when he was a baby. He He's my little brother, and I felt scared that cutting contact completely would put us on his shit list. At this point, he hadn't said we were a target. He asked if he could live with me, my husband and my kids upon discharge. I told him no. I had to think of my kids. He said he understood. He said his Prozac and antipsychotic meds were helping. He told me about his friends at the hospital, his art, books, etc. I tried to be supportive of his therapy, encouraging him to keep taking meds and being honest with his doctors. He called me from the hospital on Monday multiple times. I was at work seeing patients, so I couldn't talk. I picked up finally. He said he regrets not shooting up the hospital. He said he can't stop thinking about buying a sledgehammer and coming to my house, breaking in using it, then using it to kill me and the kids and my husband. He sounded like he was smiling and waiting for a reaction. It seemed like he was telling me because he got a kick out of it. I tried to stay calm, not to give him the satisfaction. I told him that's disturbing, that he should talk to his doctor about it, and that I had to get back to work. He said, "I love you," and hung up. I called the hospital and his doctor told me he's admitted to wanting to kill me and my kids and husband. He told her that if he can't get a sledgehammer, he wants to break into our backyard, break the glass back door with a brick, run up the stairs, bedroom area, and kill as many of us as he can get before he gets caught. She said the meds are not working on him. She said they can't keep him in the hospital long term. No residential facility will accept him due to his case file. So worst case scenario, he may be released on the street. In fact, they nearly released him on the 3rd of February. I called police and pressed charges, still waiting to hear if prosecutor will accept. I went to court today and got a protection order for myself and the kids. I couldn't file for my husband. I told my parents, sisters, school, my employers. My mum said she's known he wanted to hurt someone for 3 weeks. I'm not a huge fan of my mum, and I was pissed she didn't communicate that to anyone. I asked my husband to consider moving ASAP. He is refusing. My sedentary 5'7", 160-pound husband says he can take my brother, who is 6'3" and over 200 pounds. I argued with my husband several days in a row about it, but he thinks we're safest in our home. He's thinking that getting a gun and staying put is best choice. He says the security system he bought months ago, but hasn't installed yet, would alert police, and they'd be here in 10 minutes to help. He says he would wake from the sound of glass breaking and either take on my brother or push heavy furniture to block the stairs. I worry he isn't taking this seriously. I'm pushing forward with moving. I set up a visit with the bank to see if we can sell the house and buy a new one, and I'm contacting a lawyer to set up a trust so I can pay bills and purchase the new home under the trust. This means it's more difficult to find our address online. My husband refuses to talk about it or engage. He's not helping make any arrangements. It stresses him out too much. I told him that once I hear that my brother is released from hospital, I am grabbing the go bag and the kids and leaving. He can stay in his house and fight my brother. I can't control what my husband does, but I feel like I can't risk it. My kids are too precious. I don't want my husband to be at risk, but I'm exhausted from trying to convince him we need to move. We are not safe in this house. Wow, the husband here is really making a bad situation worse, isn't he? I mean, I'm sure it is frustrating to him to have to uproot and move his whole family just because, you know, his wife's brother has turned into a psychopath. But he does have to take it seriously that his kids and his wife and his own life are in serious danger if he stays. I really can't imagine someone acting like this. Still, there are some comments on this post, so we can see what the people of Reddit think about the husband situation and the rest of it. The first one is from Hot Butterscotch 30, who says, "So your husband is willing to let your small children be traumatized by watching their uncle trying to kill him and threatening to kill them because he thinks he is capable of stopping him. What does he think is the outcome here?" Cookie Wife says, "I would legitimately leave my husband if he was dumb enough to prioritize his own ego over his family's safety. Your husband thinks he can take your brother and thus is too lazy to bother with a move, which is admittedly a lot of work, but you have a very valid reason for doing it. My husband would move in an instant if there were realistic death threats, not only to me, but to his own child. There is nothing more important to him than our safety, and he would take charge of every bit of the move. Men sometimes get stuck in this idea of manliness being, I'm strongest. But true manliness is being able to realise when you don't need to one-up someone, and you can solve issues in other ways. I would cut contact with anyone who enables him, like your mother still thinking she can fix him. Contact with her risks revealing vital information about your lives that could risk your safety. 85 Phoenix Risen 219 says, I'm sorry, but no one can fight a mentally ill person during an episode. They have superhuman strength. Your husband would not stand a chance against him. You need to leave. You need to protect your kids and yourself. If your brother gets inside, even with the security system in place, all of you would be gone before cops even got there. I'm sorry you and your family are going through this. You will be in my prayers. Be safe. And there are some more relevant comments from OP. First of all, regarding the brother, she says, if he simply had thoughts, that's one thing. Scary, but maybe just him being edgy. He had thoughts and bought weapons and made modifications to them, tactical gear, tape on the axe, to move his plan forward. He spilled the beans each time, but how long will he continue to confess? I think he is capable of doing people harm. He hurt the family dog apparently. His doctor said he has no empathy. About the parents. My sisters and I are begging the parents to move. They are refusing. My dad plans to buy another gun. He told me he plans to shoot my brother if he gets near his house, but I have serious doubts Mom or his conscience would let him. It feels like I'm either overreacting or my dad and husband are underreacting. Surreal. Does he want to kill anyone or the family specifically? She replies, I worry also. I believe my brother is obsessed with killing us specifically. I think if my mom tells him we moved, he will not seek the new residents out, but I believe it's only a matter of time before he seriously hurts someone. On how he got to this point, she says, he wasn't. He has autism and developmental delay relating to a hypoxic brain injury when he was born. He also has ADHD. He does not have hallucinations or a diagnosis of schizophrenia. He nearly meets criteria for antisocial personality. On her husband's lack of action, OP says, I've seriously only ever been able to convince him to do anything when I'm on the brink of serving him papers. It is very infuriating. He's agreed to move, but is sulking about it. He told me I'm not giving him time to get the house ready to sell, but all he's done is lay on the couch depressed. I'm encouraging him to call his therapist. I'm not even sure how to help him. And then she comments again after 3 days of arguing with her husband. She says, my husband is now on board, but it took so much yelling and arguing, we're both feeling horrible. We're working on making the move, job interviews are set up already, etc. My mom already told my brother a bunch of stuff from this week that I told my dad, and I told my dad and sisters that I will not tell them where we move because I don't want to risk mom finding out and telling my brother. I'm afraid for my sisters and parents, but I've expressed my concerns and they are adults. My dad plans to shoot my brother on sight if he comes near his house. I doubt my mom would allow that. It's only a matter of time before my brother hurts someone, but he made a very specific threat against us, so I can't risk staying. On why OP wasn't notified by the doctor when the brother confessed that he had homicidal thoughts towards her and her family. She says, I'm a medical provider myself, so I was a bit shocked to hear his doctor didn't let me know. We're working with state and federal law enforcement and with the hospital, and they keep saying thinking this stuff and buying weapons is not a crime. I can't rely on a notification system. On the status of his mental health, she says, unfortunately, my brother does not have psychosis or schizophrenia. He nearly meets the criteria for antisocial personality disorder per his doctor. She said the meds are just not working on him. He wants to kill. And she provides some more background info in another comment where she says, he's been an inpatient in the psych hospital August to October and then again October to now. They can't keep him long term. The prosecutor won't take the case because buying weapons and having thoughts about killing people isn't illegal. His doctor, with my brother's permission, was able to share info with me. She said he may be released to a non-secure care facility in a couple of weeks. He could walk out of there and the nurses would call the police, but this is in another city. Even here in town, my parents and I don't live too far from each other, but technically different police jurisdictions, so when I called to report his recent threat, they had no idea about all the previous threats. The system is not connected, so I can't rely on the police in that city to let me know if he leaves the non-secure facility. It just isn't a risk I'm willing to take with my kids. He will hurt someone. He made it clear he has specific plans to kill us. He knows my house very well since childhood. I'm not gambling that he can be jailed or put on probation for a few months. There's no guarantee we would be notified. And talking further on what the police are doing, she says, the police and federal law enforcement are taking it seriously, but there isn't much that can be done. Buying weapons and thinking about killing others isn't a crime the prosecutor would take, but I know my children are not safe, and now my husband has come around to the idea that we have to get out of Dodge. Now OP's next update comes in the form of a post entitled, "My husband hurt my feelings tonight, looking for support." This post begins, "We are going through a challenging AF season of life. My brother threatened to off all of us. We're safe for now, but I know he will try to hurt us if he gets out of the mental hospital. My husband wanted to stay and fight my brother if he comes to off us. I argued and begged my husband to leave the state to protect our 3 young children. I lost my mind and had a panic attack and threatened divorce if he insists on staying in our house so he can fight my enormous brother to protect us. He agreed to move, but very begrudgingly. He tells me daily that I'm ruining everyone's lives, our children's, his, that I'm moving us all to bring myself comfort. Regardless, our move is set. We're working to sell our house here and move. I've been looking at houses, found a real estate agent, arranged a meeting with the bank, applied and accepted a job in the new state while constantly trying to get his feedback. I'm working full-time and dealing with police and court and trying to get a new license to practice in the new state. He's hurt. He's pissed that I'm making him move. He doesn't feel the same level of threat. He genuinely feels like I'm ruining our lives. Tonight I was looking at houses in the area we're moving to. I sent him a few. He said he wants a house under 1 million with half an acre, more than 3,000 square foot lot, 5+ bedrooms, newer than 2,000. He sent me a picture of a house he liked and would buy now. It was falling apart, in the middle of a mud lot, filthy and very, very far from work. Part of a wall was collapsed. I said that we should consider less than half an acre lot. There are great homes, but we would have to compromise. There are homes that fit his dream, but they're more expensive houses than our budget. He asked, "You do know how mortgages work, right?" in a condescending tone. I said no, because I've never bought a house before. He said, "You did your research right. You always tell me to read parenting books." I do ask him to read parenting books. I send him articles. Since he's an engineer, he often needs me to show him studies and articles to support my points, and then he will pick the articles apart. He argues most requests and disagrees in most cases. I often feel stupid with him. But at work, I'm often told I'm quite smart, knowledgeable, and I feel validated. I'm a medical provider, and co-workers and patients have made me feel like I'm considerate and caring. I feel like asking him to just agree or be kinder and softer isn't messed up. I think moving has to happen, and I wouldn't push for it unless I thought my brother's threats were real. I think reading up about parenting when you have to parent every day is smart, especially since he gets very irritated by the chaos kids bring and says he's effing tired or in a nightmare all the time. I tried to read up on mortgages, but I'm honestly having a tough time. It isn't my strong suit. I said we should rent for a while and save. He said, "Well, we don't have a choice," in a snarky tone. I wished he would have said something simple like, "Yeah, I agree," or "Yeah, I think so," just to be kind. I started crying and left. We've been together for 12 years and I love our kids, and I love him, but this has been constant for our whole relationship, and my brother threatening our lives just effed up our already strained relationship. I feel defeated. Oh, it really doesn't sound like this relationship has much more time left to me. But let's see what the comments have to say. Kiwi Tech Girl says, judging by this and your earlier posts, he is highly contemptuous towards you. This is what Gottman calls one of the 4 horsemen, which predict the failure of a relationship. It also sounds like he's very critical. Horseman number 2. Read this article, tell him to F off and stop telling you that you're ruining everyone's lives, because his delusions of fighting your brother are just that, delusions, and you don't want your family to be killed. Honestly, I would be dragging him to counselling, except I doubt you have time for that. Once you're safely in the new place, counselling is a must because the way he treats you is unacceptable. Separate Okra 2335 says, I remember your previous posts and the fear I felt for you all. Even if your brother is never free again, I think you need to move due to all of the negative connotations. Your husband, I see, continues to be completely delusional. I'm sorry that even after everything he still can't see that. Unbelievable, really. There are a number of financial advisors, sometimes within property service providers, that can sit with you for half an hour or so to explain the basics of mortgages. It's not overly difficult once explained correctly, and do not accept your husband belittling you on this matter. He has no right to be so damn rude. If you have to move by yourself, do so. Make it an adventure for your children who deserve a free and happy life. But remind your husband that he will have to relinquish any access in order to keep them and you safe, while he sits alone, waiting for your brother to arrive and unalive him. Really, your husband needs a wake-up shovel to the face. You are not and will never be ruining anything by keeping yourself and your children safe. Tell him to step up and start being positive. This could be such a lovely experience all round, so he needs to drag his butt up to the here and now. And here we have the next update, which comes around a month later in March 2024. She says, Hi everyone, I'm so grateful to this community and the incredible support. I'm posting this to update you about our case. My brother called and threatened to kill me and my husband and kids about 2 months ago. He also has a history of getting guns, an axe and other supplies with plans to commit other murders. He has hurt a dog sexually when he was younger, but did not hurt people yet. It has been horrible and difficult, and I'm not sure that I could have survived emotionally without my friends, colleagues, and this community. You gave me amazing advice. We're moving this upcoming weekend. My husband has been more supportive with the move, even though he still feels that he could take on my brother. I'm not interested in physically confronting my brother. I don't want to live in constant fear. Meds and the psych hospital didn't help him. I think the only thing that will help is a long-term inpatient unit, but our state doesn't have those resources. My brother was released from the hospital straight to jail. He currently awaits his court date in May. I met with the prosecutor today and gave my statement. They put his bail at $500,000, the highest the detective I've been working with has seen for a misdemeanor. His lawyer requested to lower it, but the judge refused to lower the bail amount. I was told the judge is aware of his previous serious plans and preparations to kill. The prosecutor plans to go for the most jail time possible for this, a year. I don't know if jail is right for him, but if he's released, he will hurt someone. I spoke with my dad and he is so mad at me for speaking with the police. He kept saying how my brother was asking for help and sharing his fantasies with me, not threatening me. He kept telling me to withdraw my statement. He said that I'm the one that put my brother in jail. It broke my heart. I told my dad that I only told the police the truth. I told him my brother is sick and will hurt someone. My dad said, "You don't have a crystal ball." True, but he's made his intentions clear again and again and again. The doctor said he has no empathy. His only thrill is thinking about hurting others. The prosecutor said, even if I withdraw my complaint, the state is still bringing these charges. The social worker and prosecutor said this to my parents, but my mom, dad and sister keep insisting that I need to recant my statement. I'm terrified of every small noise in the house. We're leaving our friends and everyone we know and moving because of my brother's actions. I feel so heartbroken that my dad and family are blind to it. Everyone else, police and medical staff included, can see the clear writing on the wall. The next update in April, around a month after the previous one, mostly refers to her relationship with her husband. She says, "Married for 8 years. We have 3 kids, 7 to 2 years old. We both work full time. Recently we had to move due to a safety issue. My husband did not want to leave and made me feel crazy for wanting to flee for our safety. Our already fragile marriage feels unstable with the added stress of moving. My husband is on the spectrum, and I thought that working from home would help him be less stressed and more kind. But he's unhappy, unkind, yelling at me at the kids, and generally questioning any decision or request I make. I made a compromise when I married him, knowing that I did not like his sense of humour or sex with him, but thinking that his intelligence and our common values would get us through. Now I feel stuck because I don't feel like our values are the same anymore. He wants material possessions. He hates meeting new people. He can't tolerate the noise and chaos our kids bring. I don't mind the chaos and noise. That's just kids. I love minimalism. To me, a stranger is just a friend I haven't met yet. I like making new friends every day out here, and he's refusing to meet anyone new in our city. I love being at work because I feel valued and appreciated. I love being with my kids or my friends for the same reason. But I dread every interaction with my husband. When he's gone for several days, I feel so happy because no one is criticising me or yelling at the kids. He's on depression and ADHD meds, and in counselling, but I don't think it's helped. Having known him for this long, I know he isn't changing. I keep trying to convince myself to stay. I want to stay for our kids. I don't want to ruin their lives. I'm just so very unhappy with the constant managing his feelings. I don't care if I'll be alone my whole life. I don't care if I'll ever be loved. I just don't want to feel miserable. But I need to stay for our children. I feel so lost. I just want to not feel bad." And then there's another update referring to the relationship with the husband from June. She says, "We have 3 young kids and we both work full time. We moved to a high cost of living location and my husband has encouraged me to get a second job because I have a profession that pays well. I told him that I enjoy working, and I do, but I manage appointments for the kids and already feel stretched thin. I use lunch breaks to pick up meds for the kids or make phone calls for appointments for the family. My days off are used to take kids to appointments. I clean the house in the evenings. I let him know he'd have to take over the appointment coordinator role, start cooking more, and do more childcare if I'm working 50 or more hours a week. Well, I got off work at 7 tonight and ran by the pharmacy to pick up our son's prescription. I was there over my lunch hour, but they messed it up, so I came back after work. The line was long and I texted him updates. By 8 or something, I got the medication and drove home. He was pissed because he took the kids to Costco for dinner and one accidentally dropped their food. I got home in time to help with bedtime while my husband yelled at the kids and told me he couldn't handle it. He said he could handle things if I actually made it home at a reasonable time. I'm kind of dumbstruck. Does he want me to work more or take care of the kids? I can't do both, and I told him this ahead of time. When we met, he told me that he wanted kids, and I agreed to have kids. I love our children. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but he told me that would stress him too much. I'm now feeling forced to work, but still having to pick up the slack at home. Well, this marriage does sound pretty doomed, but I feel like the interesting story with the family being under threat from their psycho brother has kind of devolved into a more normal kind of lazy husband family drama thing since their move. There's a couple more updates, and it does look like they're getting back into the original story, rather than the rest of the story just being the tail end of probably a mismatched marriage. So this update from July the 2nd is titled "Update, Testifying Against My Brother Tomorrow." And she begins, "I want to let you know we are safe. We're in our new state. My husband is trying his best and being far more supportive. He still believes we should have stayed to fight, but he's accepted the fact I felt the threat was real. The kids are adjusting to life in our new state. We made some friends. Our location is not public, despite my license to practice medicine being available online. It is far from the first result, and our address is hidden. My employer is very respectful and kept my name off the clinic list of providers. I've signed us up for address protection through our state. This is thanks to many of you who advised me to move and hide our address. I appreciate all your kind advice. I am flying back to our old state today to testify against my brother tomorrow. He decided to go for a jury trial on advice from my parents. I'm an anxious mess and have tons of conflicting feelings. I helped raise my brother, and a large part of my identity has been helping and protecting my siblings. A small part of me feels that testifying against him and sharing everything I know will destroy his life and be a betrayal. But I know he made his bed and must have consequences. It's the right thing to do, as shitty as it feels. The boy I helped raise is not there anymore. He is not the same person that essayed a dog, that has threatened to shoot up a hospital paediatric unit, stab my sisters, kill my parents with an axe, or kill me and my husband and kids with a sledgehammer. I dread seeing this man tomorrow. Every time his photo shows up on my phone, I feel panic. Meeting people with the same name makes my heart beat faster. I can't stop feeling fear. I plan to tell the truth and let the jury decide if my brother is guilty. I worry that this will destroy what's left of my relationship with my family of origin. I have to do the right thing, even if my parents and sisters think this is a betrayal of our family. My sister told me this will not change things between us, because she believes I will do the right thing for the family. But the truth is, I plan on doing what's right for my family and the community. Again, I'm grateful to you and will update on how things go. And she added a quick update via an edit which says, I just gave my testimony. My brother and mum were staring daggers into me, but I did my best to keep calm. They only allowed me to testify about the threatening phone call, not about any of my brother's past history, not about the guns, axe or dog. And then finally there's the full update posted after she testified, which tellingly is entitled, My Brother Was Found Guilty. She said, Hi everyone, thank you again for your kind support. Here is a, hopefully, final update. I testified against my brother today in the case of threatening to kill me, my husband and our kids. My brother was found guilty. I gave a victim statement and my husband gave one virtually. I was able to provide more background on his past threats and guns and other weapons. My testimony at trial was very limited to the phone call, so it felt good to be able to say all the reasons we have to take him seriously. My mom gave a tearful character statement saying he was so gentle and would never hurt anyone. The judge cut her off mid-testimony. It was honestly so validating. He will be released from jail in 2 weeks to serve out his sentence of 2 years of probation with regular check-ins, mandated therapy, and possibly having to wear a GPS tracker. The judge also extended the protective order for me and my husband and kids to 4 years. My mom is renting a hotel room for my brother once he's out of jail. They're trying to find a halfway house, but it will most likely be not very secure. At least probation and mandated therapy should help, I hope. I do not plan on having any future contact with my brother. I will see if we have contact with my parents. I plan on still talking with my sisters, but I've urged them not to share their addresses with our brother. They're adults. I'm not going to reveal our location to any of them because I don't trust that they won't reveal it. I feel that the ruling is fair and will get my brother treatment. I think that we're safe now. I did everything I could. Now I'm in the airport about to fly home and I'm having a drink to closing this horrible chapter. Cheers. Now that was the final update, and this is the longest story I've covered on this channel so far, but I do think it was an interesting one. I think it's always interesting to see how these kind of situations do cause effects in relationships and the family that are under threat by being around someone with one of these kind of psychopathic personality disorders or whatever the underlying cause of his behaviour was. It's easy to sort of feel the shock and anxiety that she must be going through with her brother threatening her, but then kind of the impact of, you know, her mother thinking she can fix the brother, her husband being stubborn and thinking he can take him on in a fight so there's no need to move. Just all of that stuff going on domestically while you're under this kind of threat from having somebody with that kind of strangeness to them close to you, it's got to be, terrible. But you only really see that side of things when people give personal accounts like this. But what do you guys think if you've listened all the way through this one? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening to today's stories. I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening, and I hope to see you again very soon.